right, hey guys, it's Joshua J here. I haven't posted in on YouTube in a while. Yeah, just been learning, and yeah, I feel like I have enough knowledge now that I can provide some good content for the platform. So yeah, gonna hopefully be coming at you guys with some more YouTube content, specifically relating to concept art. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so today I actually want to cover shape language and shape design. So specifically, like what makes good shapes. That's really what I want to get into today. And in the background, I've got some silhouette thumbnails. Yeah, nothing too specific, but I wanted to just keep it purely with silhouettes just to sort of represent what I'm showing here. Cool. Okay, so when we're looking at silhouettes, the reason why we do them is just because they're more simple. So they're more simple it's not like we're going in and designing every single element or every single mechanism. You know, they're relatively simple because they're just flat blocked out shapes. And then you can really get into the design of the actual shape. You know, it's not like we need to go and define every little mechanism. They're also incredibly easy to edit. So, you know, once the shape is there, and you cut back into it, you know, it's easy to edit. So there's less details to contend with. I also love silhouette design just because, you know, when you're outside, and I don't know if you guys ever did this when you were younger, but when you're outside and you're looking at the clouds and your friend's like, hey, can you see that shape? Can you see that thing? And everyone sort of sees something different. It's incredibly hard to try and explain what you see. You know, you've got a good friend if you guys can see the same thing. But it's just basically what's happening there is your imagination is filling in the gaps. So there's these shapes in the sky, and it's based off of sort of what you've seen in the past and what's within your visual library. So your visual library is basically like a catalog of all the things that you have seen and how it sort of jumbles up together. So like when you're dreaming, like dreams are kind of weird and not necessarily too logical and just all over the place. But, you know, it's a combination of all the things you've thought about, seen. And I think if you're looking at clouds in the same way, you see things almost that you have seen, or your brain sort of puts them together, and that's your imagination. So that's the coolest part, is you have space. It gives your imagination space to breathe and sort of see what it wants to see when you're working with silhouettes. And I actually didn't work with silhouettes for a very long time, and recently I've been preparing for an asset design module and realizing that silhouettes are incredibly valuable, and will definitely use them a lot more in the future for this exact reason. So yeah, it really just sets your imagination free and allows you to, you know, not forcefully, like sort of, you know, let yourself see what you want to see. If that makes sense. It's also really easy to copy elements. So if you like a silhouette, you know, or a particular section of a silhouette, it allows you to just like select that and then copy it across and, you know, edit it. And just little edits go a really, really long way. So the most minuscule of edits go in a really, really long way. So, you know, it's not, like I said, you don't have to design everything, but it's really user friendly. And when we're looking at like what makes shapes pleasing to look at, so like specifically shape design, you know, we really want to focus on the impact. So if you zoom out and you can still see that shape, then you know it's a good shape. And it's not necessarily, I mean, I've always sort of believed that, you know, being a painter or an artist is able to simplify things. And, you know, not like if you can make a shape and you can zoom far out and that shape is confident and strong enough to be able to be seen, I think that's incredibly powerful. So then, it makes an initial impact, because when we have a painting or a character or like an asset or whatever, the first thing we see is its silhouette. So like all the details on the inside, but the first impact is that silhouette that's going to be popping forward. So does it have impact? I also, I was speaking earlier now about doing confident and decisive shapes. That's really important, but it's quite an abstract concept. It's like, what does that even mean? I completely understand. It's like, what does it mean? Well, it's if you have your reference board up and you sort of know what it is you're going for, you can be confident. So the art sort of feels confident, which I think is key to making good silhouettes. And when we're looking at them, designing objects that are big, medium, and small. You guys might have heard this before, but having big objects, medium size objects, and small objects, all in conjunction with each other, sort of strategically placed so that they look really nice. I think that's like one little trick that you can use, just so that there's the human eye likes diversity. So if you have a whole bunch of circles and they're all the same size, it's not going to look as interesting as like a variety of circles that are of slightly different shape, but also way different size, like medium, big ones, and then small ones. So it's that combination of big, medium, and small is really helpful when designing silhouettes. And it's a little bit abstract, but you can use it to your advantage. And it just it creates quite a lot of interest, which I think is, that's what we're after here. We're after interesting designs. That's, I would say, the most important part of them all. It's like, is this thing interesting to look at? Otherwise, why would we design? Obviously, when we start designing and understanding things, it's not necessarily going to be the most interesting. But as you get into it and you understand like what makes these things look good, then it becomes more interesting for you and the viewer, which is kind of freeing in some sense. You understand how people see the world, so it's easy to interpret it and make cool stuff out of it. And then another thing to consider when we're looking at silhouettes is, are they readable? So if I have zoomed out, I've said that, if I've zoomed out, can you still see them from far? But like, are they intentional? You don't want like shapes that are, I wasn't really too decisive about that. So readability is really, really important. So by the way, what you are seeing going on in the background here, I forgot to mention, was these are silhouettes of handguns, so like gun designs. And then I'm also designing a hovering, like retro future truck with these cables and these big chunky sort of mechanical objects on them. And then also you will notice there is some environment thumbnails that are going on as well. So the environment thumbnails, those are going to be hillside, like sort of a cliffside village. I wanted to make it snow in a lot of them, but I didn't actually get there. So I was just more exploring silhouettes, within environments. So exploring silhouettes with assets, silhouettes with sort of vehicles, and then silhouettes with environments. I think it's really important to try and explore the space and try and just see how, like, the more variety you have, the better. So I always think that's helpful. Also, when we are, so a lot of art, is pulled, like inspiration is pulled from nature, like color theory related things. Also, when designing creatures, that's pulled from actual animals, or character design that's pulled from actual humans. So a thing to just remember is that nature is not going to provide us always with all the all the necessary sort of shapes that we need, because nature is by nature chaos. So it's not going to always give us the most perfect shapes that we need, because we are the designers. So it's good to pull reference from nature, but also being able to bring it in and actually like design it, because you are the designer. Nature's not the designer. Nature just provides, and we can take inspiration from, but it doesn't mean necessarily you have to follow it. So it's a little bit abstract, but then we can get the shape of the silhouettes, and we can really go in and design it ourselves. So when we're looking at shapes, like let's actually carry on about shapes in reference to nature. So we are basically trying to interpret a 3D world into a 2D plane. That's basically what painting is. And these shapes are made up of form, values, and color. And if you put them all in the right order, you get a picture. So it's just important to know the limitations as well of what shapes they are. It's just important to know the limitations upon like our world as well, so that when we can get in and we understand what it is that we are actually designing. Another little cheap trick you can sort of do is grouping elements together. So when designing silhouettes, it's nice to have groups clumped together where it looks like there's components and things happening, and it's not even necessarily with sci-fi stuff, although that is what I'm drawing here, but it's with nature elements as well, grouping things like bushes, grouping clumps of grass, grouping rocks, and then slowly starting to spread them out. That always looks good. And where does that come from? Well, that actually comes from nature, but because we understand this, it's really easy to go and use what we've seen and then sort of manipulate it and actually design it to what we want to look like, and simplify where we need to simplify and add more detail where we want to. So like I've always said, being able to simplify is really important. Just being able to see something, understand it, and then being able to bring it in and simplify it, I think is a major skill. And that's where sort of that's where like real design, real good design comes from. So yeah, cool guys. I hope this helped. This is just a riff on designing good shapes and looking at just specifically silhouettes and shape design. So hopefully there'll be more videos up, tutorials, just specifically pertaining to concept art. But I will catch you guys in the next one.